Yo, what's up, everybody? Yeah. Welcome to the MMA wrap up. That's what we're going to call this. And we'll see if you guys enjoy it. What I wanted to do is I wanted to wrap up the news of the week as we head into the weekend, specifically conversating about the world of mixed martial arts. Now, when we are talking about MMA, we have to talk about Nate Diaz. Yesterday, Nate Diaz reported that he was not going to be competing in next week's UFC 244 in the BMF, the Bad Mofo contest versus Jorge Masvidal. So this comes from Fox News. Nate Diaz's UFC 244 status unclear after he reveals, quote, elevated levels in his drug test. Nate Diaz's status for 244 has been questioned after he revealed the UFC informed him that he tested positive for elevated levels of a banned substance. Now, what goes on further? Diaz didn't reveal exactly what the elevated levels were, but ESPN reported that he tested positive for trace amounts of a prohibited selective androgen receptor module, which I believe is modulator, called SARMs, which has been banned by WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency, since 2008. Now, Diaz had his own comments. He posted on his Instagram and his Twitter and all that fun stuff. And I don't really care much about that. What I do care about is that Diaz is now saying the UFC contacted him to tell him that he tested hot for a substance. But also, Diaz said the UFC told him, don't worry about it. Focus on your fight and we'll deal with it afterwards. What? Actually, maybe I should read Diaz's statements here for you guys briefly. Diaz says, you're all on steroids, not me. I'm not going to make it out to my New York City fight week because they say I tested with elevated levels that they say might be from some tainted supplements. I call false on that because I only take whole food or natural food supplements. Well, Nate, that doesn't matter, and I'm in your corner, but it doesn't matter. Are these NSF certified for sport? Have they undergone rigorous third-party testing to ensure they are free of contaminants? Because any supplement can be manufactured under the guise of Whole Foods, organic, or whatnot, and be crap. Completely so. This happens all the time. And any athlete that competes under USADA or WADA governance must only use supplements, if any, that are third-party tested and are certified clean for sport. So I don't buy that. I don't care who it is. I don't buy that. That's why we don't let our athletes take any supplements here. He says, I don't even eat meat. That has nothing to do with it unless you're going for the Canelo Alvarez Mexican meat, therefore clenbuterol in his blood supply. Of course, I don't believe that. So until UFC, USADA, or whoever is effing with me fixes it, I won't be competing. I'm not going to play their game, he says, and try to hide it or keep it quiet as they suggested. And this is the big thing here. This is the big takeaway of the whole story that a lot of people miss. Most people are talking about, will he compete? Won't he compete? What was it? What was it? That's not the story. That's not the story. The story is someone either at the UFC or USADA, from what Nate is alleging, said to keep it quiet until after the fight. That's what Nate Diaz is now accusing either the UFC or USADA or possibly the New York State Athletic Commission. He's not very clear in his statement. So a lot of room for speculation here, but that's the smoking gun in the room. That's the big takeaway of this whole conversation. I don't care if he's taking Askren or Carterine or anything else. I don't care about that crap. I don't care if it's too much THC or something else in his system. The biggest issue here is that someone with authority told him, hey, buddy, looks like you tested positive for a banned substance, but shh, don't say anything until after the fight and we'll figure it all out. That's an issue. So we're going to follow that story as it continues. Now, moving on, and let me click off that and get out of here. Moving on, we're going to talk about the California State Athletic Commission. And that's right, Andy Foster, I'm looking at you. This comes from ESPN. The California State Athletic Commission has ruled any athlete who rehydrates up to 15% or greater of their weigh-in weight will be banned from competition. And I'll read this from Mark Raimondi of ESPN. The California State Athletic Commission has taken a major measure in attempting to combat extreme weight cutting. Well, that's flawed, Mark. Love you, but that's flawed right there because that's false. And I'll tell you why. CSAC, one of the largest combat sports regulatory bodies in the world, voted Tuesday to pass a rule that would cancel a fight if a competitor weighed more than 15% above the contracted weight on the day of the event. The new rule passed by a vote of 5-0 during a meeting at the blah blah hotel, added language in the regulation passed Tuesday that stated promoters, managers, trainers, and matchmakers are responsible for ensuring the combatants comply with the new rule. Well, what does this rule do? This rule does absolutely nothing to combat weight cutting. This rule does absolutely nothing to ensure athlete health and safety. All this rule does, it caps the amount of weight an athlete can naturally rehydrate. Each athlete has a unique physiological need and ability to rehydrate and hold weight and store glycogen. This has nothing to do with the amount of weight an athlete cuts. So they say they are trying to prohibit excessive weight cuts. I know athletes that don't cut more than 7% of total body mass that can very easily rehydrate and reglycogenate up well above 15% of their contracted weight class while still being 100% healthy. Also, what medical data is there to support this with regards to the athlete's ability to compete in a combat sport? What do I mean by this? So now you get an athlete that has a unique physiology. This individual athlete, they have a slingshot effect to the way that they rehydrate, dehydrate. Once they pull water, let's say, their body naturally replenishes at a 2-to-1 or a 3-to-1 ratio before they find balance and level back out again. Although not cutting big weight, walking around relatively light, walking around, let's say, within 8% of the weight class, this athlete may rehydrate up to that 15% level. And because of this rule, this athlete will now have to double cut or walk around in a continuous dehydrated state just to not go above that cap. Now, further, I have participated in the California State Athletic Commission weigh-ins this year in July. It is a total clown show. I'm trying not to curse. What happens if the Athletic Commission in California actually cared about athletes being healthy and safe and prohibiting extreme weight cuts? They would actually have the medical doctors waiting at the scale before the athlete stepped on. But they don't do this in California. What do? They have the official medical checks the day before weigh-ins. This makes it easier for the athlete. Yes, it does. But this is the time that the athletes will then go and cut extreme amounts of weight. It has nothing to do, or having the medicals 2 days before weigh-ins, the day before weigh-ins, has nothing to do with monitoring the athlete's health. It's all smoke and mirrors. In my opinion, California State Athletic Commission is simply tucking and running, pretending like they're doing something legitimate to protect the athletes, but all they're doing is protecting their own asses. They are allowing extreme weight cuts, which I will point to the Aspen Ladd situation. Aspen Ladd cut weight so hard, had such an extreme weight cut, she could not even stand on the scale under her own strength and had to be helped onto the scale and supported while weighing in. And the California State Athletic Commission allowed Aspen Ladd to compete in California that next night, said she was fine. Aspen Ladd got knocked out in like 15 seconds. The first exchange, the first shot that landed, Aspen Ladd was knocked out cold. She's a very durable athlete. Most of us in the industry, most of the medical doctors, most of the physicians that I've spoken to all said, oh yeah, extreme weight cut for sure. That's why she couldn't get it back. That's why she got knocked out, risking brain damage, of course, allegedly, and all my opinion. So shame on you, California State Athletic Commission. Shame on you. And further, when the California State Athletic Commission, when they do have that second weigh-in, guess what? They have that second weigh-in at the venue. They have a scale at the venue. They grab the athlete when the athlete's walking in. Now, weigh-ins are the morning before, first thing in the morning. The weigh-ins, the second weigh-in is at nighttime. Later on in the day, in nighttime, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock, depending on what part of the card you're on. As a result of that, the athlete is naturally heavier. They have a few extra meals in their stomach. They're naturally heavier. They're going to be heavier. With my athlete, the athlete I was working with, and multiple other athletes I saw, the commissioners didn't even tell the athlete to take off their clothes to weigh in like equipment. My athlete had his socks on, he had his shoes on, he had his underpants on, he had sweatpants on, he had a t-shirt on, he had a hoodie on, he had his cell phone in his pocket, he had his wallet in his pocket, and he had his watch on. We're walking down the hallway. The commissioner, hey, come here. We got to get you on the scale real quick. Why? Oh, this is just for us. It has nothing to do with anything. Don't even worry about it. This is just for us to, kind of collect some data. All right. Yeah. Step on the scale. Yeah. Well, take off whatever you want. It's not a big deal. They said, take off whatever you want. It's not a big deal. Athlete steps on the scale. Like, just get the fuck out of my face. I'm focused here. I'm trying to fight. Nobody told us this would happen, by the way. Steps on the scale, walks out. Now, this scale, by the way, and everybody listen, this scale was an unsupervised scale, sitting in just some random room with the door wide open. Anyone could walk in or out of that room and tinker with that scale at any time. I saw the commissioners leave that room, go down the hallway. I walked past that room 10 different times that night. That scale was unsupervised. The only time I saw a commissioner near that scale was when they were physically weighing in an athlete. Typically, when the athlete left, the commissioner left. This was an unsupervised scale, by the way. This is the way California State Athletic Commission runs their procedures. Shame on you, California. Shame on you guys. You are not doing what's in the best interest of the athletes. Now, moving on, what do we have? We have Demian Maia versus Ben Askren. Very interesting fight. Ben Askren comes into this fight 19-1, coming off a devastating KO knockout at the hands of Jorge Masvidal. Maia comes in with a 27-9 record. They are fighting the main event of UFC Fight Night 162 in Singapore. This is a big event. Now, Maia is coming off 2 wins. A submission over Lyman Good and a decision win over Anthony Martin. Before that, he had 3 straight decision losses to now welterweight champion Kamaru Usman, now welterweight reigning interim champion Colby Covington, and the number 1 ranked contender in the welterweight division, and former UFC welterweight champion Tyron Woodley. Maia has a win over Jorge Masvidal, win over Carlos Condit, win over Matt Brown, win over Gunnar Nelson, win over Neil Magny, win over Ryan LaFleur, win over Alexander Yakovlev. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 big wins over studs. And Maia's only losses came to the 3 guys that all hold or held 3 belts in the division. Now he's fighting Ben Askren. On paper, this fight is a blowout for Maia, in my opinion, on paper. In the real world, though, I don't see this as being a blowout. I see Ben Askren being able to use his wrestling, use his grappling skills. And Ben Askren had said he believes this fight is to determine who is the best grappler in the UFC. And that might be possible. I mean, we might be able to say that. Now, grappling is very subjective into what we actually like, but wrestling, American style, folk style, collegiate style, freestyle, Greco-Roman, but also Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, to which Demian Maia. So both of these athletes are master grapplers. They're both competing in what I believe is going to be a very fun fight. This fight might not be as sexy for the casual fan of mixed martial arts that wants to see the athletes just bleeding. But at the same time, I think we're going to see a very strategic, a very technical grappling match between two of the sport's top grapplers. I normally don't pick fights. I normally don't pick. And should I? All right, I'm going to. Because it's the MMA wrap-up, and only on the MMA wrap-up, I will start to pick fights only on the MMA wrap-up. I will pick Demian Maia wins by submission. How about that? I don't know. I don't even know what the odds are on that. And now the last little news tidbit of the day. Robin van Roosmalen, Glory, three-time world champion, kickboxing phenom, considered to be one of the best strikers currently walking the planet, was set to make his MMA debut in Bellator 232. And I'm reading now from MMA Fighting. Robin van Roosmalen misses weight by 9.25 pounds. His fight risk with Chris Lencioni is off. Now, this fight was supposed to be at featherweight, a contracted weight of 146. Robin came in at 155 pounds and change. That is incredible. That is a completely different weight class. And reading Steve Morocco's quote, he says a three-time world from Lencioni, the opponent, a three-time world champion, came in a totally different weight class. In my opinion, he looked scared and came in that heavy, knowing I wouldn't take the fight at that big of a weight change. And I'm most positive my contract with Bellator is up after this one, so we'll see. But 100% he was scared. So Lencioni, he's alleged, and I read this in a few other articles, Lencioni believes that Robin van Roosmalen did not want to fight in MMA and was trying to find a way out. No, I know Robin. Robin is a savage. Robin is a stud. I do not believe Robin is scared of any man walking this planet. He spars with monsters, 185-pounders, 205-pounder. He trains with and has trained for a long time with some of the best athletes on the planet. Robin's not scared of anyone. Why he came in at 9.25 over, I don't know. I mean, the only thing I could think of, and I don't know, I'm just making this up right now, maybe he thought the fight was at 155. That would be the only explanation. All right, guys and gals, there you go. The weekend wrap-up, the MMA wrap-up. How did you like that? Did you enjoy that? Did you enjoy this? Should I do more of this? This is fast. Now, I got to jump off here in about 2 minutes. So let's see. Ephedrine, hey, Dolce buddies, F you. Dope King does vegan supplements. Vegan supplements can be tainted too. Jesse Lee, F you. SoCal Seth, what's up? Ephedrine, if he's on steroids, they all got to be. That's true. Mike Benavidez, thumbs up. Coach is there. Body size that you could see that is so big and athletic that even taking UFC punch kick wouldn't phase it. The Mountain, nope. Mountain can get knocked out just like anybody else. SoCal Seth, a lot of effery in the supplement industry for sure. Angel, my man, I'm going to see you here soon, brother. Great to talk yesterday. Jesse Lee, Killer B killed Diaz is a BMF in the game. He beat Connor twice, and I'm glad he said something. I think he's being real. He is being real. And what I heard, Nate Diaz was going to be making in excess of $10 million for this fight. Woo! Baris says, Dr. Jason Funk says insulin is a storage hormone. He says when you fast, insulin is down, so it releases body fat for energy. When you eat, insulin goes up and it starts to store energy. I'm so lost, sir. But what does that mean? What does that mean? We need insulin. We need insulin. We need to store glycogen, right? We need to store glycogen for easily accessible fuel. That's what we need. Humans are glycolytic beings. We perform glycolytic activities. That's what we need. So Dr. Fung is right, but his data is being conflated, and that's the problem. Frotax, that is true. Buddies, also, what should I eat pre-soccer training and post? Well, it depends. I would say start with an orange and half an avocado. Go from there. Dr. Seuss, F you, Uncle Mike, 155 BJJ. White belt in the house. I'm trying to build muscle, but still train every day in the evenings. Do you recommend traditional big three with weights or body weight? Well, the big three for me is the squat, the bench and the overhead press, or the squat, the deadlift, and the overhead, not the bench press. Frodux, he stole that from Dan Duchesne over 30 years ago. What did he steal, brother? I didn't see the beginning of that. Emil says, what's up? Emanuele. What's up, Emmanuel? Adzoa. Anthony Byers, what's up? What's up, Eli, the science guy? F you, Dolce. After Connor's press conference in Moscow, I kind of wondered if he would step in for Nate. I doubt it. It's too soon time. Maybe, because Connor's a gangster. I'm one of the few people that say, Conor McGregor, that dude is a gangster, man. The dude likes to fight. He's a gangster. He lives for this. Jesse Lee with the $5 super chat donation. Jesse Lee, thank you. Much appreciated. Jesse says, just appreciate all the help and advice. Truly love this channel and the communities you've built, and it makes it so easy to live healthy and full of energy. Jesse Lee, that is awesome. A $5 super chat donation just to offer a very kind testimonial here. So thank you so much, Jesse. Whatever I can do for you guys, I am here for you 100%. I'm always here. I'm always happy to answer any questions, to give you as much usable, actionable, evidence-based content as I can. I have to jump off right now for another call. This weekend is the DDC, the Dolce Diet Certification and Nutrition Conference. I'm very excited about this. So leave any comments below this video. Subscribe to this channel. If you want to support this channel, please subscribe to this channel. Click that little bell for notifications and give this video a thumbs up. Leave comments below. Let me know what you think of the topics I discussed. I want to hear what you guys have to say. I want to see your names on there so I get to know you a little bit better and we can keep this engagement going. Until next time, boom.